In this video, I'm going to show you how to dimension the body of the butterfly valve. First thing you're going to do is you need to go ahead and either set up your sheets to create a paper space layout of the valve. So I'm going to put my top front right side view in a section view in this view in the paper space. Now, just as a refresher, if you've already got a template that you've got it set up, remember this is an 11 by 17 sheet of paper and I've already got my template brought in, but it's also a block. So if you've already got one sheet set up, you can actually bring it over and paste it into another block. So let's say I have my layout tab 2 open and I want to copy the template or the block. You can see that it's a block reference. All I have to do is hit Control C and then go over to where I want it. I'm just going to delete this out and then hit Control V on your keyboard, and then you can type in 0, 0 as the insertion point. Now the object that I brought in is an 11 by 17 sheet. Now I just have to right click on the layout tab and go to Page Setup Manager and modify that, and I'm going to change it to AutoCAD PDF General Documentation, scroll up to the top to go ANSI Full Bleed 17 by 11. I'm going to go to my window and I'm going to pick the outside corner to the outside corner. Now it has to be, when I scale it, it's got to be 25.4. So because I'm in a millimeter setting and I want to change that paper. So I'm going to set my monochrome and preview. So now it's an 11 by 17 sheet of paper. Okay. And okay, I'm close. So now it's set up. So if I come up here and I go to annotate and I measure that distance, then it says 431, but if I look at the alternative units, it's 17 inches. Okay, so I'm set up for my layout views. Now, like I said, I've got my body, my valve body set, and I want to start bringing in and dimensioning it. So I'm going to come over here to the Layout tab, and I'm going to come up to the top of the Home ribbon and either come down to the Base command and do From Model Space, but I typically type in View Base. I'm going to go from Model Space. I'm not going to do the entire model because I only want to do the body. So I hit Enter, and it will tell me that I'm on the body sheet. If it's not on that sheet, then I need to type in the sheet that I want the information on, or the Layout tab. So I type in body. So I'm going to pick front, hit Enter, pull it to the top, pull it to the right. Now when I pull it up at an angle, it's not the right projection because I want to see the object. So I'm going to put it over here. I can always grip this and move it over. Turn my ortho off. Notice when I pull this one, I can't move it, but when I move my parent object and grip it and move it over, I can actually modify that. Now, I'm going to start dimensioning it based on the dimensions that are listed on this sheet of paper here. So I've got it printed out, so I'm just going to start dimensioning. Now, the other thing that you need to do is most of us started out with ACAD ISO.DWT. And notice in my annotate that in my dimensions I have an ISO 25. So I'm going to modify that and make sure it's set up. So I want and you'll check yours, I want a baseline spacing of 3.75, extend beyond the lines 1.25, offset 0.625. The size of my arrows are 3.5. My mark is 2.5. Break size 3.75. My text height is 3.5. Offset from the dimension line 0.625. These are just approximates. Now here's the other thing is if I check this underneath fine tuning, draw dim line between extension lines, it's going to draw this line here. I don't want that on. Maybe when I do other ones I will. The other thing that you'll have is a decimal separator. In ISO it's usually the separator is a comma, but I would like to use periods. And make sure your precision is set to 2 decimal places. We can do alternative units, and I'm just going to display those for right now. And notice the multiplying factor. It's the number on the outside of the bracket is in millimeters, and the number on the inside of the bracket is in inches. I'll turn those off in a minute, but I want to show these to you. The other method of tolerancing is you can do symmetrical, you can do deviation, limits. You'll be using these in mechanical drafting, but for us, we're not going to be using them, but I did want to show it to you. So I'm just going to click OK, set current, and close. Now I'm going to go ahead and start dimensioning my object. So I'm going to go from the center to the midpoint, and I'm going to pull this down. So notice that I have 2 dimensions. So the object is 160 millimeters, but it's 6.3 inches. So I can just do that for all of these. Now, since it's... So I'm going to go ahead and take off the dual dimensioning. I'm just going to modify this, and I'm going to turn the alternate units. So I'm going to uncheck display alternate units. I just wanted you all to be aware of that. So I'm going to set, and I'm going to close. I'm going to start dimensioning. So I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to go radius, and I'm just dimensioning this as we drew it. I'm going to pull this out to here. And then I'll come and do a diameter to here. I'll do diameter again to the center. I'll do radius. Now, notice that you can see all my hidden and dashed lines. Check your LTS scale, your line type scale, and see what it is. Mine's 25. If you can't see your dashed lines, then go ahead and change yours to 25 also, or a variation of that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and dimension the side view. So, excuse me. I'm going to start doing my diameters. I'm going to dimension the outside one. Oops. Now here's the problem, is I can't dimension this because it's trying to dimension to a hidden line. So if I projected this, and I projected it to this side, and I go to dimension the diameter, then I can dimension it. So what I want to do is I'm going to delete this one, and I'm going to drag this to the other side. Now here's the thing, is depending on how this object is rotated is what shows. And as you can see, the right side isn't what I'm actually seeing. So in this top view, it's a little backwards. This is the this is called a first angle projection. So technically, my object should be rotated into a different view. So I'm going to come over here, and I am going to rotate this, 3D rotate. So I highlighted the object, and I click the 3D rotate button. I'm going to rotate it about that blue line, and I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees. Oops, undo. It didn't select everything. So you can click 3D rotate first and then select the objects. And I'm, oops, 3D rotate, select the objects. And I'm going to select the blue. And I'm going to turn my ortho on. And hit enter. Now notice what happens. If you move the object you're dimensioning and you go back to the body, you can see that now it automatically switched sides. And now I just deleted that. If I project, I'm projecting to the correct angle. So, excuse me, this is a better method of projecting. Now notice this one got rotated also, excuse me. So what I'll have to do now is I'm going to have to get rid of that one, and I am going to click on this one, and I'm going to, because this is the parent, and I'm going to project out. I'm going to change that into a edit view, and I'm going to change it to shaded with hidden lines. I mean shaded with soft. Now this messed up, so all I have to do is highlight everything. So if you ever switch views, then typically the dimensions will go with it. If you get a little yellow symbol here, click on it and then reassociate. And then you're going to go to the center mark. Oops. Center should be on. There you go. I picked the outside circle. So now I continue with my dimensioning. So I'm going to annotate the outside line. I'm going to annotate, again, it won't let me, before it wouldn't let me annotate the hidden line. So I'm going to annotate the small one. And turn ortho back off. So basically you're just placing these in the best location for understanding what you're drawing. Now, you're also going to measure linearly from this end point to the center. You're going to use a dimension line. And I'm going to click on the circle. Now here's the other thing that you can do. You can actually come in here, double click the text, hit the end key so you can start typing. So you go 3 places 15 deep. Now another way to do that is you could use your GTD text, your geometric dimensioning and tolerancing text. So I'm going to double click this and I'm going to take that out and I'm actually going to call it 3 by end. So that tells me 3 places, and then I'm going to put a symbol in here and I'm going to scroll down to the other. And when it pops up, you can actually use text styles. So there's a GDT IV25 and IV50. So these are just different sizes, but it's the geometric tolerancing. So I want that depth symbol, and I can paste that there, and I can say 15. So that tells me the size of them and how deep. Okay. Now there's also a circle that's around here, so I can go circle. Notice that the hidden circle's not there. So this should be on the hidden layer. But I also need to dimension its diameter. It's supposed to be 150. But the object, if you look at the actual parent object, its scale is 1 to 4. So this is a 1 to 4 scaled object. So the dimension is off by 1/4. So what I need to do is I need to change the scale of the object and type in 4. Underneath primary units where it says dim scale linearly, I need to change that to 4. Now, the way that the object's dimensioned for the front view is I'm going to do it as a section view. So I need to create a section in here. These also need to be cleaned up. I'm missing a couple dimensions, so I'm going to pull this over to the side. Pull that over to the side. This one has the word, or TYP, which means typical. And so does that one. And TYP. You also have center marks. Notice this center mark isn't rotated properly. So I type in RO to the center and I angle it. 90 degrees. Oops, sorry. Rotate. Not RP, RO. Should be 45, not 90. And I am going to, sorry. That doesn't look very good. I'm just going to eyeball this. That's better. And I'm going to scale this up by 0.25. Actually, make that bigger. 1.25. Same with here. 1.25 and 1.25. Oops. And now I'm going to move this over. Since I rotated the object, that's why I lost my dimensions. I used the match properties to get the object rotated. And that does not look right. So I'm going to do rotate reference by quadrant. Nope, it's not looking how I want, so I'm just going to eyeball that one. That's better. Now, that's all the dimensions for the top view. Now, like I said, sorry, I need to I'm going to click on the object, and when that happens, it's going to give me this option here, and it's a section. So I'm going to click on section, and I'm going to hover so my extension line's on from this point, and I'm going to have my ortho on out to here, and then I'm going to hit enter. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring it down below and hit enter. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to delete that original front. The other thing is notice this looks like it's a solid. We know that our sections should be the section lines should be slashes. So I need to come over here and click on this object here, and you can see that it's got a pattern here. So I'm going to change that scale. So it should be about 20. Should be about 20. Even because I use the LTS scale of 25, I would make that scale also 25. Now the next thing is I need to dimension the section view line. The other thing is you want to take a look at when it creates the section text. Come up here, when you click on it, it's going to be on the layout tab. Click the section view style and modify it, and check the size of the text. So the text size is the text height is 3.8, simple size. I'm going to make that, 3.5. I'm going to make the cutting plane, I'm going to change that cutting plane to a other, and I'm going to load a hidden line or a phantom line. So I'll just have to scroll down to phantom 2. Okay, and okay. So I'm going to change that to phantom. So the text height is 3.75 and the hatch is set. Okay, set current and close. Okay, now this should have automatically come up as a phantom line, but maybe modify. Maybe because the LTS scale it won't. So I'm not going to worry about that right now. Now, so I'm going to go ahead and finish up and go and annotate the body. So I'm going to do linear. And I'm going to go from the end point out here to the face here. And I'm going to do that again from the end point to this point here. So that's the edge. Now I'm going to have to move this down. Here's the other thing, is it should be in line with this edge here. So when you delete the parent one, which you can, you just have to be sure of aligning it with the proper object. Alright, so now they're in a line. They should be both in alignment with the top and the right side. So I'm going to pull this text up a little bit to get the spacing. Now I need to dimension endpoint to endpoint, and I need to dimension from endpoint to endpoint. Alright, now the other thing that I'm missing is I'm missing my center lines. So I would need to come to the Home tab, and I would need to look at my layers, and I need to change it to my center lines. So I would draw a line, and I would just extend these out like that. Now the LTS scale, like I said, is okay for my drawing, but maybe it's my PS-LTS scale. I'm going to change that to 0 and regen. So that doesn't change it either. Sometimes your PSLT scale will fix your lines, but I believe, I'm sorry, that's probably through viewports, and since this isn't a true viewport, it won't change it. So what I may end up doing, which I don't recommend, but since we're using the body, then I would change the line scale here to 0.25. So I'm going to copy this from this endpoint to this endpoint to, I'll need to do a polyline from here through. So, and I would need another one from here down, but it would need to be to the midpoint of the object. Make sure it's the midpoint. So you'll have to bring this down. So my scale here is 1 to 4. Make sure that's updated. You'll also need to make sure you have your center mark. So I'm going to go to Annotate, Center Mark to this object. And I am going, you can also, the other thing that you can do is you can grip it and extend it. Grip and just extend it. That's another option that you have. Okay. So you also have polylines that are to the midpoint here. Copy those. And sometimes the lines will just be too short to be hidden like that. And sometimes you may end up just having to change the LTS scale or the line scale over here. But again, I don't recommend doing it this way for major drawings, just for the fact that when you're designing, you don't want to do that. All right, so now so what I'm looking at is a front view. That's basically a section view, though. I've got my right side view and my top view, and everything looks fine. All right, that's it for this video.